Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today's sinistry is between Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne. Now, I had a community poll, and they pretty much tied with Nelly and Ashanti. So I will be doing Nelly and Ashanti's sinistry chart as well. But right now, I'm going to be getting into this one, and this is fascinating because there's a lot of really interesting aspects. And of course, I always use the asteroids because they bring in more depth and nuances to the energies between two people. Now, Sharon's Sun and Psyche conjuncts Ozzy's Neptune and Ixion. So with this aspect, Sharon became Ozzy's dream, his muse, his escape, maybe even his illusion. Because with her Sun and Psyche conjuncting his Neptune and Ixion, he saw her through a haze of longing, addiction, and fantasy. She probably felt like she had to save him, and maybe believed that she could, because Psyche is there, and Psyche has this soul-to-soul connection with his Neptune and also Ixion, but this is like a soul-to-soul sort of idealism and mirage. And their bond had that otherworldly sort of soul-level pull, deep, spiritual, and full of sacrifice. But with Neptune's fog, there is this romanticized idealism, like I said, but she saw his pain and she understood it, maybe more than anyone else could, because in his natal chart, he has Moon conjunct Dejanira, which is, Dejanira has to do with victimhood, but with the moon here, there's a sort of internalized pain and vulnerability that is hidden. And his moon is in Capricorn. So with moon in Capricorn conjuncting Dejanira, you get this quiet sort of controlled suffering, a pain it's wrapped in dignity and masked by competence, and then it's buried underneath responsibility. Now, her Sun and Psyche conjuncting his Ixion. Now, I'm going to be getting into the shadow part of this. Ixion is where boundaries and rebelliousness lie. The boundaries, they can be crossed, often knowingly. And this represents the I know this is wrong sort of thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's the energies that Ixion has. On the milder side, that's these energies. On the extreme side, Ixion can represent murder, because in the myth, Greek mythology, Ixion, I believed he murdered his father-in-law. Now that is on the extreme side. But in this chart, you have to look, I've said this many times before, you have to look at the whole context. You have to look at everything and plug all of the asteroids and into the chart and see how it unravels. And in this case, Ixion has the energy of rebelliousness and lawlessness. And her identity and soul, because of her Sun is has to do with identity, and the Psyche asteroid has to do with soul. This may drew her to the very broken, taboo, or immoral parts of him. Not out of ignorance on her part, but out of a kind of fierce loyalty or a spiritual mission due to his Neptune being there as well. So in his natal chart, he has Neptune conjuncting Ixion. And in his world, this includes both dreams and violations, creativity. So his world is both mystical and crazy at the same time. He lives in the space where genius meets madness. This conjunction could represent his addictions because of Neptune, betrayal, or rebelliousness. And Sharon's Sun and Psyche conjuncting his Neptune and Ixion, their energies, these energies of hers, they all merge together and create the dynamics that I just explained, and it also reveals the mythic heart of their bond, a soul contract forged in light and also shadow. So their connection wasn't really meant to be easy. It was meant to transform. And Sharon didn't just love Ozzy, she anchored his chaos. She stood face to face with his shadow and his craziness, and she still chose to stay. And this is the signature of, it's like a karmic bond that it tests the boundaries of loyalty, forgiveness, and also a soul endurance. Because Sharon's Neptune and Proserpina conjunct Ozzy's Bellerophon, and she was both his dream and his underworld queen, the one who saw his fall and stayed, because Ozzy's Bellerophon brings the wounded hero energy, the wounded hero archetype, forever rising and then crashing. Bellerophon was a hero in Greek mythology. He tried to reach heaven by riding his winged horse, Pegasus, and he wanted to get into heaven, but he was denied by Zeus, and then came crashing back down to earth. So this Bellerophon is a symbol of a bit of ambition, rebellion, and a painful fall. And Sharon's Proserpina is the queen of the underworld, so she knows the terrain of darkness and return. And like I said, Proserpina is the queen of the underworld. Also, in Ozzy's natal chart, he has the sun. His sun is conjuncting Proserpina natally. So he's marked by deep ties to dark feminine energy. And their connection, it wasn't just this romantic sort of union. It was karmic, symbolic, and built for survival through the storm and the rises and the falls of their destiny together. So together, they lived the myth, the hero, the fog, and Sharon, who walked with him through the underworld as queen of the underworld, Proserpina. Also, to validate that, Sharon's Hades is conjuncting Ozzy's North Node. That's the heart of this journey with her. The journey with her has to do with deep, shadowy places that he had to face, endings, tough lessons, and a kind of transformation that just it shakes your soul loose. And Hades has to do with the underworld, and he's linked to Proserpina. And I'm not saying that Sharon is evil, because there's other parts of this chart that I'm going to be getting to that will bring this all together. So that's the theme of this relationship for him. His Pluto is very close to her south node. It's not an exact conjunction. I think it's 4 or 5 degrees away, but there we go again. Pluto, the underworld shadowy theme conjuncting her south node. There's this past life connection. There's the karmic pulls, and he can pull her back into the shadows, and they're comfortable with that energy because the south node has to do with the past life. So again, there's this double energy, Pluto on her south node and her Hades on his north node. But here's the twist. Sharon's Reiki conjuncts her north node natally. So Reiki has to do with healing, and in her life, one of the core energies has to do with healing. So she carries the power to heal, not just for herself, but in how she showed up in her relationship with Ozzy. So their love, it's not just passion or drama, it's the wild dance of one person breaking down and the other holding space to help rebuild the relationship without falling apart and then healing together. And this is like it all coincides with the rise and fall of Bellerophon, Reiki, the underworld, karmic energies, the soul contracts, and there's loyalty and devotion because Sharon's Vesta conjuncts Ozzy's Venus, Vesta, and South Node. So she brought sacred devotion to a love that felt really familiar to her, like something carried over from another life because of the South Node connection here. And her loyalty, it lit a flame in him that it never really went out because he has Venus and Vesta conjunction. And this was not a casual sort of union or bond. It was a vow, even through the wreckage. Now, Sharon's Pholus conjunct Ozzy's Bacchus and Medea. So she detonated his vengeful, overindulgent side because Bacchus is excess. Bacchus has to do with overindulgence in either drinking, drugs, shopping. It's just an overindulgence in the energies that it has. Medea brings revenge and fury. In this case, emotional fury. And Pholus, that's the explosion. Pholus will explode whatever it touches. It's like a bomb going off. And since it's conjuncting Ozzy's Bacchus and Medea, so when he was overly maybe drunk or into drugs at that time in his life, she could just, it's like lighting a match, and he just exploded with revenge and volatile reactions towards her. But she didn't cause this mess. It was her presence. It lit the fuse, like I said. And when he spiraled, she didn't just witness it. She cracked it wide open. So there's, like I said, a volatile karmic lighting a match in a room full of fumes. That's the best way that I can describe that aspect. Because also, Sharon's Bacchus is conjuncting Ozzy's South Node. So her energy stirred up his past life patterns of escape, excess, and emotional unraveling. And it felt familiar, but not always healthy, because she didn't just witness his chaos. She was a part of this whole cosmic script. Now, Ozzy's Eros and Valentine conjuncts Sharon's Venus, and that's pure magnetic, romantic, erotic pull. He didn't just desire her because of the eroticism, he adored her. There's Valentine conjuncting her Venus. She embodied his ideal of love and beauty, and it was lighting up his passion and devotion. And this is really a great aspect to have. I mean, Eros and Valentine conjuncting Venus, this is just love, beauty, romance, passion, and devotion because of the Vesta asteroid that I explained, that I went over before. So it wasn't just physical, it was mythic. There's lust, longing, real love, all tangled up. And this is the kind of connection that hits instantly and just lingers forever. So this is just starting to form a picture, but I have more here. And this is important because her child asteroid conjuncts Ozzy's Juno, and Ozzy's Amor conjuncts Sharon's Juno, both at 0 degrees. This is huge on the commitment side because Juno represents commitment and marriage. So their commitment wasn't just a romance. It was innocent, soulful, and deeply bonded. Innocent because of the child asteroid, soulful because of her Psyche asteroid, and deeply bonded right here with the Juno and Amor and child. So she brought out his vulnerable child in him. The part that wanted to be cared for or chosen, and he in turn, he met her desire for true partnership with genuine, heartfelt love because of his Amor conjuncting her Juno, and everything else here tied together. So in this relationship, there's 2 sacred contracts signed at the soul level. We've got the underworld, shadowy parts, and the true love and devotion parts as well. So this wasn't just a marriage, it was recognition. I see you, I chose you, even in your darkest hours, or your, I want to say rawest. Oh, thanks to Mercury retrograde, I'm surprised I got through this whole video without really stumbling over a lot of these words. I see you, I chose you, even in your rawest form, your darkest hour. And that's all I have today with these two, and I hope you enjoyed this interpretation, and I'm going to be back soon with the Nelly and Ashanti synastry chart, and if you need a synastry chart, my email is in the description box. So have a nice day. Talk to you soon.